Hey, what is going on, guys? I am so sorry, y'all. I know it has been a very long time, but I am Amira Blaze, and welcome back, guys, to another episode of Book Shade. So, guys, I have a massive haul that I have to show you guys today, but quickly before I do that, I wanted to give you guys some updates in regards to why I've been gone for so long. And you know why, guys? This is just the honest truth. I was waiting for my book haul, like books to come in, and they were kind of taking longer than expected, but they finally came in, so that's the reason why. And it also, I haven't been feeling well like for the last like 2 to 3 days, so I just got over not feeling good, and I'll be I'm back into it, guys, and I'll be making regular episodes for you guys to enjoy. But you know what I decided to do, guys? Instead of doing the doing like a complete book review, which I call book roast, I've decided, guys, that I am going to do live episode book wrap-ups. Okay, I wanted to kind of do something a little bit different with the program, so that's what I'm going to be doing, is just doing like wrap-ups, but doing it live, which is I think it's gonna be really cool. So I'm not gonna waste any time here, guys. Let's get started with this massive book haul. So this is something I've been very excited about, guys, to show you, because I've really been getting into Jane Austen, but especially, guys, you know what I found out, and this is interesting, there's actually, I would consider it a book genre, and they're called Jane Austen spin-offs. Guys, I didn't realize how massive this particular like genre of books like are. I mean, they have all different types of spin-offs, so that's what this episode is going to be focusing on, guys, is giving you my massive Jane Austen spin-offs haul. So I'm not going to waste any time. Let's get started here. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the series that I have, and then we'll conclude with standalone books. Okay, because when it comes to the spin-offs, guys, okay, so some of the Jane Austen spin-offs are based on some of Jane Austen's more popular works, such as Emma, Pride and Prejudice, and of course Sense and Sensibility. But there are other spin-offs based on some of her other books as well, and there's different takes to them. It's very fascinating. So this is the reason why I started to collect these spin-offs, because after I read the original, that's my disclaimer right there. Do not buy or read Jane Austen spin-offs until you have read the original. Hey, we have, of course, Nick. Welcome, Nick, to the program. But yeah, you want to make sure that you read the original, Pride and Prejudice. If you're into Pride and Prejudice spin-offs, you want to read that, because sometimes they can spoil, okay, what is in the original story, because the spin-off is just giving a different take. So it depends, it depends on the context, but just for warning, okay, because I just didn't want people being like, man, you ruined Jane Austen for me. I'm not actually familiar with that author, Nick. But I digress here. So yeah, make sure you read the original before reading the spin-off. You have been warned, okay? But let's continue here. So yeah, let me show you the spin-offs that I have. So this particular spin-off series is a book of 7 books, and it's done by Elizabeth Austen, and these are a lot of people respect these spin-offs. So this is a series called the Darcys Daughters series. Okay, now I have the first 6 books. The 7th book is actually a ebook, but for some reason, guys, I cannot find it at all. Like, anywhere they sell ebooks, I cannot find the 7th one. And unfortunately, the author, just from my research, ended up passing away. So that really sucks. So maybe that might be the reason why I can't find the 7th book. But I'm grateful that I at least have the first 6 books in the series, okay? So they go as follows, and I actually put them in order this time. All right, so this is okay, let's say, Pride and Prejudice and Sense and Sense, all of that happened, and Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy, they decide to have a family, and then, the years go by, and then their daughters, are adults now, and that's what this series is about. It's pretty much kind of explaining what the daughters are up to. Okay, so the first one here is Mr. Darcy's Daughters. So we have this one, and I'll read a little bit of the description here. And it says, picking up 20 years after Pride and Prejudice left off, Mr. Darcy's Daughters begins in the year 1818. Elizabeth and Darcy have gone to Constantinople, giving us an opportunity to get to know, so they're gone, but to get to know their 5 daughters who have left the sheltered surroundings of Pemberley. I tried. And Pemberley. There we go. Pemberley for a few months in London. Okay, so that's what this one. So this is the one you want to read first. It kind of gives an introduction to this series. Then next you have the exploits and adventures of Miss Alina Darcy, looking savage there. She's like, of course. All right, you will enjoy this book, darling. Okay, so me being extra as hell. All right, so this one says the exploit and adventures of Miss Alina Darcy takes readers back into the imagined family of so this is like their extended kind of, their initial extended family here. So the imagined family of Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy. Okay, so it says their musical daughter Alethea, hopefully I'm saying this right, I'm probably butchering it, makes a disastrous marriage to a man whose charming manners conceal an unpleasant nature. All right, so that sounds interesting. So excited to read that as well. Then the third book here in the series is The True Darcy Spirit. And then this one says, after being disowned by her family, Cassandra Darcy, the artistic eldest daughter of Anne de Bourgh and the granddaughter of the infamous Lady Catherine de Bourgh, and Mr. Darcy's cousin in Pride and Prejudice, strives to make a living by painting. So I think I would like this one even more here. Okay. All right, let's continue here. Okay, and another thing is too, I do respect and understand that people do speak different languages and stuff, but unfortunately I am not fluent in Spanish. So if you have a question during today's live episode here, I would ask if you can put it in English for me and for those who speak English to understand. That would be great. I would appreciate that. But let's continue here. All right, so we're in the 4th book in this Darcys Daughters series, and this one is called The Second Mrs. Darcy. Ooh, scandalous, right? So it says, in a truth, university acknowledged that a single, it is a truth universally, there we go. It's been a long day, guys. Acknowledge that a single woman in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a husband. So say the friends of the impoverished widow Octavia Darcy when she's unexpectedly inherits a fortune, but she has a different view and looks forward to a new life of independence. So I think I might like this one. I like seeing, female protagonist like characters, especially this is taking place, this is like a Regency kind of historical kind of thing. So it has that kind of feeling. So I like seeing independent, strong female like characters, like especially in this time period that's kind of like barely heard of. So it was refreshing to see that. So very excited to read this one. And I can't wait, guys, to do the wrap-up, the live wrap-up episode for you, because we'll be talking about what I finished for the, yesterday was the last day of the tome readathon, and I did terribly. So I only completed one, but I'm grateful that I finished it. And, alright, so like I told you before, unfortunately, I'm not fluent in Spanish. So if it can't be presented in English, and this is not me being disrespectful in any way, I'm gonna have to kick you out. So you have a good night, Nick. Alright, sorry about that, guys, but yeah, I have to put my foot down now because of people trying to be super obnoxious and disrespectful during the program. So if you come to my program and you're acting disrespectful, I will kick you out. So I just want to let you know, no disrespect, but that's not how we do things here on the program. But let's continue here. All right, so this is the 5th book, and this one is called The Darcy Connection. So there's that. And it says, in The Darcy Connection, Mr. Collins of Pride and Prejudice is now excuse me, guys, sorry about that, is now the Bishop of Ripon, living with his wife Charlotte and their 2 daughters who have reached marriageable age. And then that's, it goes a little bit deeper. See, I don't want to give spoilers because I am going to be doing individual live wrap-up episodes, like discussing these books and stuff. So that one sounds pretty good. All right, let me get some water here, guys. Sorry. Throat is scratchy. Oh, gosh. All right, let's continue here, guys. So then next we have, this is the final book that I have in the series, and this one is called, sorry guys, my nose is so itchy. Ugh, it's terrible. But this is Mr. Darcy's Dream, and I love the covers on these. These are wonderful. And it says, when Phoebe, a young niece of Pride and Prejudice's Mr. Darcy, is shattered by an unhappy romance, she retreats to Pemberley. There we go, Pemberley. I knew it was like that. Okay, Pemberley, and is joined by the kind-hearted Louisa Bingley, unmarried after 3 London seasons. So this is gonna be a juicy one. They're gonna have all these suitors and shit. All right, yes, yeah, she seems like an interesting character here. So you go, Phoebe. All right, so I got all those. And then guys, I couldn't resist. I got my final book haul coming, because I'm not going to be buying physical books anymore unless it's a good deal or something, but still I'm going to refrain, and I'm going to be switching to ebooks, just because it's, you know, space efficient, you know, because I don't have a lot of space like that. But ebooks, I really want to kind of change the perspective on ebooks as well. So I'll be, you know, I'll still of course review physical books, but I will be doing strictly like, yeah, ebooks from now on, just because I just don't have the space to have one of these really elaborate, you know, setups like some booktubers do. But I really want to encourage too ebooks as well. They're really wonderful, guys. They're, you know, you can read right away too, and it's very convenient. So that's what I'm going to be switching to in the future. But let's continue here with the second part, and this is coming from a different author. These are make sure here I have a couple of books from Sharon Lathan, and then I have another series here that's a little more juicy, as they would say. Okay, so this series, I would call it like, it's another Darcy series. The best way I would say, it's a continuation of Pride and Prejudice. So I'm just gonna call this the Mr. and Mrs. like Darcy series. All right, so this one is the first book in the series, and I don't have all. I got the other two books on my shelf, but yeah, this is a pretty cool take on Pride and Prejudice as well, and it was highly rated too, so I was like, oh, it should be good, hopefully. Alright, so the first book in the series here is Mr. and Mrs. Fitzwilliam Darcy. So there's that. It says Jane Austen, Pride and Prejudice continue. Okay, and this is what the synopsis says. It says, beginning on their wedding day, Pride and Prejudice's Darcy and Elizabeth are two people deeply in love with one another and are excited to begin their marriage. Their courtship was tempestuous. Misunderstandings and misgivings nearly tore them apart. But now that they've seen each other without prejudice, their trust, attraction, and delight in each other grows with every passing day. So this is going to be about kind of like an extension of what happened after the marriage. So I'm really excited to read this because I know it's going to be juicy. Okay. All right. So I think that's the first. Yeah, that's the first book. And then this is the second book, which is called, sounds very juicy too, Loving Mr. Darcy. Ooh. See, Mr. Darcy is very tasty though, I have to say. Like, I wouldn't mind meeting my Mr. Darcy someday. Yes, go on. Alright, so let's continue here and me being a thirsty bitch. But, alright, so it says here, it says 6 months into his marriage to Elizabeth Bennet, Darcy is still awestruck by his beautiful wife and their unparalleled love and passion for Darcy. Each day offers more opportunities to surprise and delight his beloved bride. And it says Elizabeth has quickly adapted to being the mistress of Pemberley, charming everyone she meets and handling her duties with grace and poise. Just when it seems life can't get any better, Elizabeth gets the most wonderful news. So this is a little more extension on the Pemberley like arc. And this is a Regency romance, so just, you know, I thought, because sometimes with Regency, it depends, but this is a Regency romance because it takes place in that time period. So that's the second book. Excuse me. And then we have the third book here, which is my Dearest Mr Darcy. And it says here, It says, as the golden summer draws to a close, the Darcys look ahead to the end of their first year of marriage. Mr. Darcy could have never imagined his love would grow deeper and deeper with the passage of time. So this is about their first, you know, after the first year of marriage, like what happened. So this is gonna be an interesting series because it's focusing on like the deeper complexities of their marriage that wasn't, you know, it wasn't explained in thorough like detail in Pride and Prejudice, because that was just, you know, the beginning. All right, so next we have I think this is book 5, either 4 or 5. Guys, it's been a long day. But this is called In the Arms of Mr. Darcy. I know this one gonna be real sexy, okay? Well, for Regency times. But let's read the description here. It says, Darcy and Elizabeth are much in love as ever, even more so than the relationship matures. Their passion inspires everyone around them, and as winter turns to spring, it says romance blossoms around them. It says confirmed bachelor Richard Fitzwilliam sets his sights on seemingly unattainable beautiful widow Georgiana Darcy. So this is going to be between Richard Fitzwilliams and Georgiana Darcy. So that's going to be the tea, okay? Regency tea. But no, I like historical fiction, but I wanted to give historical romance a try because it seems in regards to the romance booktube community, I am seeing a huge like emergence of historical romance really getting refreshed, and people are really getting back to being interested in it. Now for me, I still focus on paranormal romance, and of course I talk about what are called webtoons, which are web comics from South Korea. But what I find like interesting with these Jane Austen spin-offs is, as you can see, there's a whole wide range. I mean, you have stuff that is very prim and proper, but guys, you know what I found out? You will not believe this. And I'm not surprised at all, but they have adult versions that they're called steamy Jane Austen spin-offs, but those have been they're kind of hard to find. I mean, you can find some, but the ones that I want, that's the real tea, okay, the real like steamy book receipts, okay, those they're either really expensive or they're like super hard to find. So I'll have to see if I can find some, but some of them are you know, as I'm holding like my fan, I'm just like, oh my. But yeah, some of them, they, you know, Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy be getting real hot, okay? I'll just put it that way, because you know I'm trying to stay classy for now. But let's continue here, y'all. And then I think this is okay, so after you read the main Mr. and Mrs. like, you know, Darcy's series, then there are what are called companion books that kind of add like, you know, a little more supplement to what, you know, happened in the main series. That's the way I took it. But this one is called The Passions of Mr. Darcy. Okay, so as you can see, I have a thing for Mr. Darcy. Okay, just saying. Alright, so it says here that it says while Fitzwilliam Darcy is enjoying a let's see here. Oh, okay, let me read this part here. Alright, so it says Dr. George Darcy becomes one of the most renowned young physicians of the day, determined to do something more than his, determined to do something more with his life than cater to spoil aristocracy. It says George accept. Okay, well, I won't read that part, but yeah. So this is him like trying to find himself as a you know, young physician. So I think that would be interesting too. So that would be an interesting take. So this is just kind of like a different variation on a Darcy, you know, another Darcy character. But yeah, India, that sounds really good. Like I would love, guys, to go to India someday. That would sound, it sounds so much fun, and the people are so beautiful there. Oh my gosh, I am jealous. But let's continue here, guys. So the next 2 books here, it's actually a part of, like, I believe 4 or 5 books, but I have the first 2. The reason why, guys, I try to get a complete set if, you know, if I can, but the reason why I couldn't get a complete set is because the next, like, 2 books, they are almost $45. They are really, really, really difficult to find. I don't know why, but maybe because it's an older book series, or I don't know, maybe they went out of print or something. But this is another Pride and Prejudice spin-off continuation too. But this series, I like to call it the Mr. Darcy's series. So it goes a little bit deeper detail into Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy's relationship, and it does turn up a little bit on the romance, but it's not anything like super scandalous. But the 4th one she came out with, she has it as like an ebook, and I forgot the name of it, but that one they said is supposed to be like really like steamy hot, where you like, oh my gosh, you know, you're gonna be sweating like you know, you just put some hot sauce on some chicken, okay? But I digress. So the first one here is Mr. Darcy Takes a Wife. Now this one did get a little bit beat up here with the cover, but I have some book tape, so I'll put it on there just to, you know, keep it looking good. So let me show you. So that's how that one looks like. So let me read some of the description here, the synopsis. It says, every woman wants to be Elizabeth Bennet Darcy. Beautiful, gracious, universally admired, strong, daring, and outspoken as a thorough modern woman in the cryolines. And every woman will fall madly in love with Mr. Darcy. Tall, dark, handsome. Look at me sounding mad thirsty. A nobleman with a heartthrob whose virility is matched only by his utter devotion to his wife. So this is about the passion between the two of them. Bitch, I am excited. Get your life. Okay, Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy. Alright. So then the second book here is Darcy and Elizabeth Nights and Days at Pemberley. And this is, once again, these books are part of a continuation of Pride and Prejudice here. And you can see they getting it on with that kiss, okay? Yes, Guad. But I digress. So it says here, Mr. and Mrs. Darcy have exceedingly passionate marriage in this continuing saga of one of the most exciting, intriguing couples in the Jane Austen literature. As the Darcys raise their babies, their babies enjoy their conjugal felicity. Ooh, conjugal felicity, oh my. All right. And manage the great estate of Pemberley. Okay, so it has some of the other characters too from Pride and Prejudice, but this is about them and a little steam here. It's not gonna be super scandalous, but you know, I like some steam in here, you know, make it a little steamy. Okay. So I got those 2. So those 3 guys are my collection. So let's go over finally here the standalone books. So this particular Jane Austen spin-off author gets a lot of praise because she kind of takes different directions with you know, Jane Austen's like story. But this one, guys, really stood out to me. It's really something. And this one is by Amanda Grange, who is the author of Mr. Darcy's diary. But this one is called Mr. Darcy Vampire. Can you believe that, guys? They have a vampire version of like Pride and Prejudice here. But this is a different take. Okay, so it says a married man in possession of a dark fortune must be in wait of an eternal wife. So think of like Dracula, guys, but this it takes place in Pride and Prejudice. How cool is that? So this the first one I'm reading of these spin-offs, because that just sounds so sick, you know? And then next I have another one by her, and this one is called Dearest Mr Darcy. And it says a retelling of Pride and Prejudice. So that's this here. So you can tell which series I really go, you know, I'm a stand for. Or which book. And it says, in this imaginative retelling of Pride and Prejudice, Amanda Grains now tells the classic story through the eyes of its compelling romantic hero, Fitzwilliam Darcy, in a series of revealing letters that cast a sparkling reflection on the manners and morals of the landed gentry in 19th century England. So this is letters coming from Mr. Darcy spilling the tea. So we know this gonna be juicy, okay? All of these gonna be so scandalous. I'm gonna be clutching my pearls. Oh my gosh, I am so excited, guys. You do not even know, okay? And then next here there is Darcy's Temptation. Now we turning it up a notch. And it says a sequel. So this is not like kind of like it's a spin-off, but it's supposed to be a continuating like sequel to Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. This one is done by Regina Jeffers, so that's how it looks like here. Okay, so this one says, the day Fitzwilliam Darcy marries Elizabeth Bennet, he thinks his life is complete at last. 4 months later, even greater joy appears on the horizon when Elizabeth finds out she's, well, we know what happens there. So this is probably when like maybe the first when they start a family. That's what I'm assuming, but I'll leave it at that. So sorry for yawning, guys. Oh my gosh. And let me know what you think about my makeup. It was yesterday. I didn't know this, but yesterday was World Goth Day. So it's like a celebration of goth culture. So I did my own kind of gothic makeup look and added some glitter. So this is like the best my makeup has ever like looked like. So let me know what you think, okay? And then the final book here I have to show you, and this one is steamy too. See, I am such a, you know, I love me a steamy read. And it says he's the only, or yeah, he's the one man every woman wants. And we have Nick once again, and Nick says that I look great. So thank you so much for the compliment. I appreciate that. Yeah, so he's the one. Oh, is it? Well, you know what? I don't think so, because I tested it out and it should be fine. So, but thank you though. It says he's the one man every woman wants, and it's called Only Mr. Darcy Will Do. So this one is by Cara Louise, or not Cara Louise. There we go. So that's it right there. And it says, okay, let's just read what it says here. It says, her worst fears come true. Oh, okay, well, that's a good start. After her father's death, it says Elizabeth Bennet goes to work as a governess. And then it goes on to give a little spoiler. So this is her going on as a governess on her own after her father's death. And so this is an interesting take. So it's gonna have a little bit deeper emotional kind of feeling. So yeah, I'm excited to read all of these, guys, but the one I have to start off with is the Mr. Darcy Vampire. And the other, my final haul, guys, let me tell you, oh my gosh, you guys will gag. It is so good. I found so many interesting other like spin-offs to Jane Austen. So that's all I have to show you guys for today's episode. If you want to keep in touch with me, guys, you can, you know, of course, check me out the following ways. I am on Twitter as well as Instagram, which is at Bookshade and then the number 1. Okay, so yeah, you guys let me know if you have read any Jane Austen like spin-offs, like what did you think of them and everything like that, and just let me know what you think about Jane Austen in general. She's one of my favorite authors because she's super classy and she's a shit. Yes. Okay, so coming up, this will be later on in the evening, guys, at 9 p.m. Central Time. I will be doing my live book wrap up for the Tome Readathon, as well as just letting you guys know the next books that I'm going to be reading, because what I do is I try to make sure I read one arc that I receive, and then I read one book in the on my Goodreads, that, you know, because I have all my bookshelf behind me here in my background. It's arranged as a TBR for the order that I want to read, like, you know, the book series that I want to enjoy. So I'm going to add these ones, and then my final haul for physical books will be coming hopefully next week, but we'll see, because there's been a lot of delays, unfortunately, with shipping. So you just have to be patient for, you know, us alternative book snobs out there. But yeah, guys, once again, check me out on Twitter and Instagram, which is at Bookshade number 1. And like I always say, guys, remember to embrace the darkness of reading. I'll talk to you guys later on in the evening today. Take care, guys.